And right now, they're more or less running amok. So there is a concept of home rule, and there are people who are attempting, and I'm hoping that what Drake and those people are doing will give us another tool so that we can control the corporations. Because right now, I have a sister in Indiana. The mayor signed a contract to accept garbage from Chicago, a landfill right in their community. The community was never asked, and this is apparently an ironclad contract. In fact, because it was considered commerce, they were not allowed to say no. So it is going to take a lot to clean this up, as from what I can see locally. Then you have Agenda 21, and I know a lot of people talk about Agenda 21. A lot of people are waking up to what it is, but I watched it play out again in my backyard, and I realized that a lot of Agenda 21 is coming from the regional planning commissions. Again, this is in our own backyard. Almost everybody in this country, where you live, it is very likely that there is a regional planning commission that is working in your area. The one in my area is called Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. This is a part of my county, although the Planning Commission has like 43 members, which are some counties, some cities. People pay to belong to this organization, and you say, well, what do they get from this organization? Well, when I went to the meetings, I discovered what they get. The Regional Planning Commission gets federal grants and some private grants. And if the cities or the municipalities go to the meetings, they find out where this money is, who's eligible. So this little body, which is, nobody elects them. We don't elect the regional planning commissions. We can't get them fired. Most people don't even know who they are or what they do. And they are functioning outside of any form of structured government. They're just taking money. They call themselves a quasi-government agency, which I find interesting. And they are a pass-through agency, they claim. What they are doing is they're taking money and passing it to their buddies or their favorite projects or whatever. And that's something that we didn't get into last night, was the role of the Regional Planning Commission, unelected. This falls right into Agenda 21, and what people are starting to recognize is the public-private partnerships. Now, I don't know how the actions that are going on behind the scenes, that Drake reports to us, which are absolutely fascinating, and I'm so hopeful. But I don't quite yet understand how that's going to impact the fact that they're setting up everywhere these partnerships between the public and the corporate sector. Joan Vion is a great, if you do a YouTube Google for Joan Vion, V-E-O-N, public-private partnership, she does a fabulous, little 30-minute video clip explaining, because she chased this one down on her own. She went right to the IMF. She did all this research trying to figure out where did this come from? Who is this beast? And she calls it corporate fascism. Because what's happening right here in my backyard, it's a question of who pays and who benefits. They try to convince the little taxpayers right here in my town to pay for a road extension. Not even on the land in our town. It's adjacent to the land. Okay, who pays? They want the taxpayers to pay. Who benefits? The developer of the mall. There's your public-private partnership. Then they spin it to the public by saying, this is going to give you better shopping. Well, the public doesn't really care about getting better shopping. Oh, this is going to increase your revenue. Well, the revenue that we get is some sales tax and more low-paying jobs, more clerks. It does very little, but yet this is another example of a public-private partnership. And this is going on there. I told others on a different call that my governor has decided to sell 5 prisons. And he made this announcement. And they always say it's going to be more efficient. Well, if that doesn't scare you guys a little bit, we need to take control of our states as well as our counties, because who's going to be in charge of those prisoners, the treatment of those prisoners? Are they going to be treated civilly? Who's going to be monitoring that nothing really nefarious is going on in these prisons? If they're private corporations and have no public input whatsoever, we should all be a little concerned about that concept.
Exactly.
So rebuilding really stop watching Washington for 5 minutes and just start looking around your state. It's not always easy to get information. We have a news service that reports on the State House and what they talk about right here in Central Ohio. But guess what? You have to subscribe. And I think it costs a considerable amount of money to be a subscriber. They do not want the general population, I repeat, they do not want us to know exactly what they're doing. And that when Teri says, we kind of let things happen, well, I'm telling you, in your own backyard, a lot of people have been letting things happen for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Adita?
Yes.
Well, what's really odd and very troublesome about this whole concept of the public-private partnership is it's truly not as it appears to be. Right. Although they allege and claim they are public, they are truly masquerading as public servants looking after our benefits, while actually, in fact and in law, being private, foreign-owned, corporate, Soviet-style bureaucracies, or terrorocracies, many of us like to call them, and they merely pose as public when they actually serve private beneficial interests of the people who own these corporations, not we the people.
Well, when I talk about it, I usually say when you say public-private partnership, what they really mean is public money. Your money.
Right. They want to partner up and you finance everything.
Exactly.
Right, yes.
That's the public part people don't get. It's like, no, this is another form of externality or externalization, and I recommend everybody watches that documentary, The Corporation, because there's a little segment right in there, where he says, well, and I sent it to my neighbors, and they said, wow. The guy says right there, well, if we can get the public to pay for the road, we make more money.
Yeah, we get the pockets, the rest of it.
And so, these elected people, trustees, or whatever we want to call the people on my city council, they really have been sold this thing. I don't know if they're completely corrupt or they're just a little bit brain dead. Partly, we haven't asked the hard questions. They really, they've got gatekeepers. It's even hard to talk to them because you have to go through their secretary and she grills you. What is it you want to talk to, But they're behind the scenes. They're playing all kinds of games that the public is unaware of. So part of the relocalization, cleaning it up, see how the machine works, see how it's broken, in brainstorming with our neighbors to how do we get these people back under control.
Can I interject something?
Absolutely.
Yes, great.
Okay. Every Sunday morning I go get a Sunday Gazette Mail newspaper, and it's usually got the general normal garbage in it. This time it's got a kid pictured in the cafeteria eating. 7 county pilot projects, success from scratch. Last summer, 7 of West Virginia's poorest counties, and they name them Lincoln, Mingo, McDowell, Clay, Gilmer, Fayette, and Mason, agreed to try cooking lunch and breakfast with fresh ingredients all year, 5 days a week. They would offer meals free to all students who want to eat. They're guinea pigs. They're trying this out. But this is fresh food, okay? The superintendent, the superintendent and the principal and everybody are just tickled to death in terms of the fact that the kids want to eat something good. Now, this continues from the front page, introductory article, to a full page on the back. One thing about this is that the Food and Drug Administration likes what they're seeing. West Virginia is to be congratulated, said James Harmon, Regional Nutritional Director for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I'm not aware of any other state that has taken the initiative to reach more children while improving the nutritional quality of school meals. Now, what this means is that all of the fast food stuff ain't there. Now that we know it works, and they've been playing with this for a little while, we plan to offer cook-from-scratch training for cooks in every county next summer. This is going statewide. Okay? And it's fresh ingredients. This is not, all the nasty, whatever, frozen stuff. Now, I was still, I thought, well, that's good news. And then I come up to a thing that says, it ain't no secret how to grow food, a growing concept. And we're talking about doing the garden and all that. Program provides rural families with gardening tips and tools, along with community gardens. And this is to be spread throughout our state. So apparently, some politician somewhere, and I have no idea who, because I doubt that they would want to say that they did something nice, apparently got the word, and it's in its third year, called Grow Appalachia. And what it is a combination of community gardens and teaching people how, letting them practice at the community garden if they want to grow something, and then taking it home with them.
Well,
and this is statewide.
There is a huge growing community garden movement. The only thing that I observed when I look at these programs that pop up, and we're generally happy, but I think we've seen this enough that we should always never check our skepticism completely at the door. They changed the food in the public school system where I live as well, but again, these decisions are not made, which concerns me. They are not made with the public's knowledge or permission. We keep seeing things roll out, and we try to give it our support, but I remain concerned as to who started these programs. I guess who benefits and who pays. Who. We're always back to that because of all these wonderful partnerships that are popping up everywhere.
And we need to be sure that if we're talking about gardens, especially community gardens, that we're not talking about them using GMO seeds,
right,
et cetera, and things like that. We have done a number of things behind the scenes and now kind of in your face across the country towards taking our country back. And these county projects, I hope to see that grow exponentially very quickly, because it's absolutely necessary to restructure America from the ground up. We have groups, very, very dedicated groups, teaching people how to take their power back through the courts and eliminate a fraudulent debt industry. And we have the Nation States Project, where the states have come together and put the world on notice that we are indeed a free and independent country, a free and independent people. That has been done. There are, of course, we are still working to include all 50 of the states, even though all 50 weren't required in the beginning. There's some claims going on out there now, just this week, specifically last night or the night before, that our documents were sent to The Hague